Smartphone cameras, possibly the most talked about part of a modern smartphone. Why? Well, because they replace those bulky, expensive, delicate things that we used to carry around back in the day. They contribute majorly to product pricing, categorizing and purchasing decisions. They've become so good it's quite possible to shoot your first film, or at least start a YouTube channel, with one of the smartphones. So many a smartphone specialist online will tell you to buy hardware and software accessories to get the most out of that very camera that you happen to be carrying around anyway. But have we got to the point where these things are so good on their own that those additional accessories are a bit redundant? Today I want to talk about that. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and this is something that I've been pondering about for the past, 6 months or so. I used to really want to rig out my Galaxy S7 Edge and my iPhone 6s Plus with a cage and a light and a microphone and all that stuff, but I feel like these days could be a bit redundant. I mean, I even paid full price for the Filmic Pro app, which we'll get onto a little bit later, but is an absolute disaster. I've been revisiting this topic over the past 12 months, filming some of my wearable footage with my iPhone, and I found the footage to be just brilliant, just enough for YouTube. SmallRig sent out their smartphone camera cage for this video, and I've used it for a little bit, and whilst it helps to protect the edges of your phone, adds mounting points for lights and microphones, which can be quite handy, and gives you the stabilization thanks to the side handle add-on, I just feel like it was a little bit unnecessary. Don't get me wrong, it's a good product, it's very solid, it's built well, it's priced competitively, and when you put your phone in it, you feel like a little bit of a filmmaker in a sense. But I do feel like where I might have wanted to do that, maybe it's down to my age, maybe it's down to the sophistication of modern smartphones, where I wanted to do that with previous smartphones. With my iPhone 14 Pro, for example, I just kind of don't want to bother with it. This goes for those little add-on lenses as well that you can buy from the likes of Moment. Is it cool to zoom in further and get anamorphic shots with your phone? Sure, that's very cool, but it's also a novelty, and at the price of some of them, it gives you just a little bit of anxiety when purchasing those things. Smartphone hardware over the past 5 years has come on leaps and bounds. I mean, software as well, but we're talking the sensors getting monumentally bigger. We're getting faster lenses, better stabilization technology, both optically, hardware as well, sensor stabilization, but also in software. Most flagship smartphones these days come with a wide, an ultra wide, and a zoom of some kind. Some of them even come with those periscope camera setups inside the phone that leave the outside of the phone feeling sleek and thin, and like there's nothing really crazy going on. Whereas with these add-on lenses, you've got to carry those around in maybe a pouch. You're carrying around a phone with a different case on than maybe you would have on in the first place. It seems a bit, a bit try-hard in a sense. It's just too much. And given that so many of these smartphone cameras these days are that good, considering they're that slim, pocketable, you don't have to change anything about the camera, no swapping out lenses, it's all built in, you don't even have to have a case on your phone unless you really want to. It kind of feels redundant to me, but at the same time I think it's something we take advantage of, that we have these smartphones in our pockets that are able to capture some incredible photos and videos, but don't take up much more space than a normal smartphone. Software you might expect to be a different matter, but I do believe the same thing applies. I mean, Filmic Pro, this is now a subscription, which is an absolute, we'll get to it a little bit later, but as someone who paid full price for the app, Filmic Pro being a subscription is just, oh my god. Anyway, if you ask me, Filmic Pro adds little value unless you're a real filmmaker, and in that sense, why are you using a smartphone? Why aren't you using a DSLM or a DSLR or a film camera? Who in their right mind cares so much about histograms and peaking and all those features on a smartphone that they aren't just using a DSLR? I'm throwing no shade to Filmic Pro apart from the fact that I think they're bankers minus the B and plus the W, because I paid full price for their app and now they're offering me a subscription, a weekly subscription, and it gets better. Because I paid for the full price for the app, I get a small discount on my weekly subscription for an app. Filmic Pro, that is a joke. You are a joke. This isn't all about that. What I'm meaning to say is that the software simplicity, the interactability with the camera hardware and software really is more impressive, I think, than the actual hardware specifications, the ability to take great photos. Take for example the Google Pixel app and the iPhone camera app. They're both simple, easy to get around, intuitive, the layout, it just works. There's just enough settings that you can kind of get what you want, but at the same time not enough settings to overly complicate it for the average person who has no idea what 4K even means. Yet they can take a photo that looks as good, generally, technically, as a photo taken by a photographer with the same hardware. Now obviously there's going to be a skill issue, you know, the photographer's going to know composition and lighting and angles and the other person won't, but the main thing to take away from here is that the performance, the hardware, the thing that they're using isn't getting in the way. This minimalist approach to modern smartphone camera hardware is why these phones are just so good. Stabilization, HDR, night mode, all this stuff in a phone, and I use it to capture some of my review footage. Comparing it to my C200, I mean the C200 just looks like a dinosaur compared to this. It's crazy. Now, is it more technically, you know, flexible, viable to use a C200 for filmmaking and documentary work and stuff? Yeah, absolutely, but that's not what we're getting at here. We're getting at the point that I think rigging out a smartphone is kind of useless in 2023. Still getting used to calling it 2023. Anyway, Filmic Pro, don't at me. You guys are a bunch of losers making me pay for your app and then telling me it's a subscription. It's just a joke. I paid for a week for this video. Worst £2 ever spent. Anyway, I'm going to leave links to everything in the video description. A massive shout out to my Patreon for being continually supportive, and there will also be a link in the description to where you can buy the Small Rig cage thing. Thanks to Small Rig for sending that out. I really appreciate them sending that out. It's fun to play around with, but at the same time I do think it's a little bit redundant. Good product if you're after it though. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I've been Ryan Thomas and I'll catch you later. Peace.